Welcome back, design students. In this video, we're going to lay out the UVs and generate our UV template. The process of putting the UVs in this central space, and they have to be all in here, in this one space at 0, 0 here. The process of putting them in this space is called packing the UVs. So we have to pack them all in here. And we can do some things now to make texturing this thing and painting it later on much, much easier. Since this rabbit is basically going to be a solid color, we can lay some of these UV shells on top of each other so that we only have to color them once. So let's start with the legs. All we got to do is go to UV shell selection mode, click one, and then we're going to find transform, and we are going to flip that UV in the U direction, which is X, which is this direction. And then we're going to simply move that on top of the other one. And we may have to rotate it a little bit to line it up. And now these two are on top of each other. You have to remember that they're on top of each other later on when you're moving them around. And let's do the same thing with the back side of the legs, or the front side. Grab one, flip it in the U direction, and move it on top of the other one. And rotate a little bit if you need to line it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. If we were going to texture these things with some kind of a print pattern or something, then it would need to be more perfect than we're making it. These can absolutely be on top of each other. All we really need to do is rotate them a little bit and just line them up. I don't even think we need to flip them. And let's do the same with the arms. These are not going to be flipped in the U direction. These are going to be flipped in the V direction. And these are the arm ends. I would just scale them so that they are basically consistent with each other. And you can actually, if you want to be really OCD about it, you can grab the UV vertices here and move them around like so, just to make them more consistent with each other. I wouldn't spend any time doing that with these, though. And then let's do the ears. Going to flip them in the U direction. And now we can take these things and make sure you select them by drawing a selection box around them. And we can sort of put them together in a space. Now the computer can do this for us, but if the computer does it for us, then it's not going to lay it out such that it makes any sense. This is the head. This is the body. And then we can take all these other things and scale them down a little bit. And then this is the one side of the legs. Those little arm ends, I'll put those right here. So there you have it. I have all of my UVs packed into this one space here. Now you don't want them too close together because we're going to paint them possibly separate colors and we need some room to work in Photoshop. I think this will be just fine. So I'm going to do one last check here, because one of the things we're going to do is put a bump map on this to make it look like fabric. And if they're rotated weirdly or something like that, the grain of the fabric is going to look incorrect. So I'm going to select the legs, because this looks like it's sideways to me. And I'm going to turn on the checker map. And that is the back sides of the legs. So I'm going to rotate around and take a look. Then I'm going to get the scale tool, and I'm going to scale these out. Now notice when I scale them in horizontal direction, the checker map changes in the vertical direction. That means these are turned on their sides. So I'm going to get my rotate tool, and I'm going to rotate them so that they're hopefully facing at least horizontally. I'm going to rotate these a little bit too. Now remember, they're on top of each other, so I got to select them both at the same time like that. And there, now these are both facing at least horizontally. So now we can generate our UV template. To do that, let's go up to the top of the UV tool set and make sure that UV shell selection is active, and select all of these UVs. This is a very important step. If you don't have anything selected, it won't create a template. And then you click this little camera right here. Once you do that, you have to tell it where you want to put the UV template image that it's going to generate. So click Browse. And then I'm going to put mine, of course, in my Rabbit Images folder. And I'm going to name this Rabbit_UV. And click Save. And now it's telling me that that's where it's going to put it. And then I like to change the edge color to bright green. I think it's easier to see that way. And we're going to leave this 2048 by 2048. And the final thing we need to do is change the image format to JPEG. And then click Apply and Close. And that has now generated a UV template inside the project folder that I specified. And that's what it looks like. So when we come back, we're going to open that in Photoshop and begin to texture our rabbit. And I'll see you then.